They usually give you. Oh, perfect. Hey, what's up, everyone? Thank you for listening to Faith and Films. You're listening to the only Christian podcast where you can discuss movies and faith. I am your host, Brojo Saved by Grace, Josiah McLean. You can call me that as my name. And you can listen to this podcast, actually on Apple Podcasts, Faith and Films. You can also listen to it on Spotify or anywhere you can listen to podcasts. It's Faith and Films. The mark, not the word and. So the spelling that you'll see in the video is exactly right. So I have two guests, Veckel and Supes. Thank you guys for joining in.
What's up, guys? I'm ready to go. There's so much awesome stuff going down in the world of superheroes. There's so much fun stuff to talk about, and I'm excited to talk about it with your boy Josiah Veckel. Let's get it popping.
Yeah.
So I guess let me just start off with what did you guys see the recent news? Andrew Garfield denies that he's in Spider-Man. And I got to tell you, I listened to John Campea cover it, and he kind of said, I just believe Andrew Garfield. And then I said, no, I need to see the video. I need to see how he said it. And I swear to you, if you haven't seen it, it is one of the worst bluffs that you'll ever see an actor do. It was so bad.
Really?
Supes, what did you think about it?
We all know Andrew Garfield's a nasty actor. He's one of the best. He's one of the best actors in Hollywood out there. He is just so talented at what he does. Go watch his new movie, Mainstream. It's out right now. He's getting praised for it. He's nice. Extremely good actor. This was the worst performance of his entire career. Straight up. This was the worst performance of his entire career. And, you know, the body language experts out there can dissect his body language in these interviews. Never made eye contact with the interviewer. Continues to deny these rumors. He's probably watching this live stream right now as we speak on one of his burner accounts. And it's probably like, what are these kids don't know what they're talking about. But guess what? We're on to you, Andrew. We're on to you, bro. And yeah, again, come December when Spider-Man No Way Home hits theaters, we'll see how reliable your words are right now.
Yeah, I have to be honest. I haven't seen the video of him telling this bluff. But I mean, with today's with the advent of the internet and cameras on phones and stuff like that, social media, it's going to be even more difficult, I predict, in the future for film productions to keep things a secret, because there's always going to be that one idiot who's going to break protocol, and he's going to do one of these things. You know. And we've seen pictures of it online already. You know, pictures of Tom Holland, buddy with Andrew Garfield. Now, what movie are they possibly coming out with together, other than Spider-Man, that would have those two in the same picture? Come on.
Yeah, I want to actually. I don't know if you guys can see this. I do want to. I just want to show you. This is actually the video. I don't know if you guys. Let me know if you guys can hear that.
Obviously, I don't even want to ruin anything if there is something to ruin.
Do you guys hear it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, tell me. Okay, so it's because you didn't see it. I want you to see his performance.
There isn't anything to. I don't even want to ruin anything if there is something to ruin. Except there isn't anything to ruin, bro. I had to just quickly cut you off. There's nothing to ruin. Really? It's so crazy to It's just gotten out of hand. This is all bullshit,
dude. It's fucking hilarious to me because it's because I do have this Twitter account and I see.
Let me give a profanity warning. In the UK, they swear more than we do in the US.
Spider-Man is trending, and it's people freaking out about a thing, and I'm just guys, oh, no. I wish I could just be able to speak to everyone and say
how did this take off? Because you are.
I recommend that you chill. Listen, I can't speak for anything else apart from myself.
Sure.
They might be doing something, but then ain't none. I ain't got a call. So
Okay. Well, that makes my life easier. Okay, no, that's good. That's unequivocal.
You know what it feels like though? It feels like, because this hasn't come up yet in an interview. Do you ever play the game Werewolf?
No.
Or Mafia?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You know that game think it's kind of similar, where it's like you're convincing everyone that you're not in the mafia.
Right.
Like, I feel like I'm in a game of fucking werewolf or mafia, where I'm like, I'm not the werewolf. I promise you, I am not the werewolf. And everyone's like, you're the werewolf. You're the fucking werewolf. Look at him. He's like, he's doing.
Okay, so for the record, my friend, on a stack of whatever you have there, you are not, as of this taping, in or have any knowledge of being in the next Spider-Man movie.
I feel like haven't I just said that?
You have. I just want to get really clear. This is the unequivocal yes/no answer.
I did not get a call.
Maybe they shot you guerrilla style, like in Mainstream on the street.
In Mainstream. Listen. I would have gotten a call by now. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Oh, let me see.
Well, yeah, you're right, Supes. That was I really admire Andrew Garfield's acting. I think he does a great job. I saw him in Hacksaw Bridge, I think it was called.
Yes, Hacksaw Ridge, great film.
I think he is, and I really like. And I know I'm going to get persecuted for this, but he is my favorite Spider-Man. I know.
He's my favorite Spider-Man too. You're not
really?
alone, bro. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I love it.
So you and I, we're the minority, man. I love the suit. I love the way he played Spider-Man. I love the way he played Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm.
There's my favorite Spider-Man. But that's not what, obviously that's not the only reason why I like, Andrew Garfield. I really believe that he's a great actor. And I think, I agree with you, Supes. He's done a terrible job here in covering it up. So
I feel like
yeah, right. I haven't got the call, so we can dissect that and say what
you got an email, bro. We know it. It was an email, not a call.
Yeah, he didn't get a call.
He came in person. They knocked on the door,
or somebody came to him and said, "Well, so you didn't
Mikey
ask me
pulled
if
up
I
in person."
Yeah, you didn't ask me if I got an email or somebody came to me and asked me verbally. I just told you I didn't get a phone call.
Right. Well, I mean, you can tell when it's a total, which is a total dodge, because the question wasn't, did you get a call? The question was, are you in the movie? And he says, I didn't get a call. So it's not an answer to the question, but
right.
Yeah.
Watch their hands, folks. Watch their
hands. I mean, even if you don't like Andrew Garfield's version of Spider-Man, you still can appreciate that he's an incredible actor and that he did an incredible job in Hacksaw Ridge. But that was really bad. That was like, I mean, he should have just said, like, I don't want to answer but that would have been sort of like giving an answer if he doesn't want to answer it.
I mean, he did a great look. He did his best, and I'm glad that he didn't shy away from talking about the rumors. Whereas, like, he did a better job than Tom has in previous interviews. I mean, Tom is just like,
oh gosh.
I don't know. That would be awesome if they were in the movie. I haven't been told anything.
And we all know that Tom has he's infamous for having loose lips,
Exactly. So
what do you think of the movie, Tom? Well, Sylvester Stallone dies at the end. That kind of thing. So.
It's so amazing. Tom Holland. I thought when Tom Holland was asked about whether or not they were in the movie, he gave a better, more clear. He just straight up lied and just said, no, they're not in the movie. Like, he just answered the question like pretty straightforward. How angry would you guys be if they're not in the movie?
Supes, you want to say something real quick?
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to them not being in the movie. I mean, I would love to see him come in down the line, whether it's in Multiverse of Madness. I wouldn't be crazy about it, but at the same time, I also think when you're bringing back Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus, when you're bringing back Jamie Foxx as Electro, and the multiverse is involved here with Doctor Strange, and it leads into Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, directed by Sam Raimi himself, I think while they're in the midst of going to this entire multiverse storyline, I think it's a huge missed opportunity to bring back Tobey and Andrew during a time where it makes sense. It wouldn't necessarily be forced, because we know that Spider-Man No Way Home is going to deal with those multiversal elements. There's rumors of Willem Dafoe coming back as Green Goblin, being the main villain of that movie. But as of right now, we know that Jamie Foxx is confirmed to be coming back. Alfred Molina is confirmed to be coming back, and they're both playing their versions of those Spider-Man villains from those respective franchises. So again, because you're bringing back these villains, how awesome would it, like, there's no better time to bring in Tobey and Andrew than right now.
Yeah, people are going to be looking for it in the theaters. It wouldn't make any sense to not have either Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man to not appear. If
Yeah,
you're
I
gonna
have to
those
say
bad guys, that's what people are be looking for.
that's a really good perspective because I didn't think about it like that. If you're going to troll the fans by bringing back the villains, they're going to have another Quicksilver on their hand. Like that. In fact,
Right.
it'll probably be more violent than Quicksilver if you're going to bring back all the major villains and not bring back the heroes.
And
Right.
look, I'm not saying that they're gonna be in the movie like how it was in Into the Spider-Verse, where it was Peter Parker and Miles Morales
Right.
working side by side from the beginning to end. No, all I'm saying is that for them to like enter the scene with like Tom Spidey getting his butt whooped by all the other Spider-Man villains, for them to enter like the final battle and just have a fight scene and end the movie and enter the movie in the third act and kind of just like enter there, dude, we would go home the happiest of campers. I mean, just imagining like the portal scene, but with these versions of Spider-Man. I mean, I cannot tell you how loud our theaters would erupt across the planet. Like, I genuinely think it would break the multiverse in real life. Because when Tobey Maguire graces that screen once again and we hear that iconic theme music, when Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man comes swinging in with his quips, oh my God, what a moment that's going to be. And again, I'm not saying they're going to be in the movie again for like a long period of time, because I don't think they're going to be in the movie a lot. But again, just to have them grace the screen for one fight scene, just the ending of the movie, and then maybe we see him in Multiverse of Madness, which I think we will. At least Tobey's Spider-Man.
Right.
That would be more than enough. That would be more than enough. And this is still going to primarily be a Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, which is exactly what I want it to be, because this is Spider-Man, and this is going to be the next Spider-Man for the next, I don't know, 10 years or even more than that.
Right. Yeah, I heard rumors about a fourth Spider-Man film, possibly.
Oh, Tom will get again after this film. Tom's probably gonna take a little break, just because they've been coming out with Spider-Man movies, and he's been in a movie like legit every single freaking year.
Yeah, matter of fact, it's funny we're talking about Tom Holland. I just about 30 minutes ago, I just finished watching Chaos Walking. So, and it's a pretty fun movie. Yeah,
exactly. So. Tom has already said that he's probably going to take a break after Spider-Man No Way Home. He still has to appear in one more Marvel project that's on his contract, but after that, they'll probably re-up for a new trilogy. Again, Spidey is just that big of a character. Spidey is way too big for just one trilogy, so I anticipate Tom will get another trilogy, and we'll continue to see more of him as Spidey.
Oh wow, that's
especially with Venom.
Do you think it'll take away from the film? Like, I know that looking at Far From Home, which I've seen, I think 3 or 4 times now, and each time I've watched it, I've had a different experience. First time I saw it, I wasn't a fan. Second time, I was like, okay, this is better. Then the third time, I thought this is probably one of the best Spider-Mans that I've seen. So my perspective changes each time I watch it. But one of the complaints I heard people making was that they didn't want Spider-Man to be dominated by other characters. Do you think having 2 of the biggest Spider-Mans ever join the film would take away from Tom Holland as Spider-Man?
I mean, I don't. It depends on the way they do it, right? Yeah. Because at the same time, did having Peter Parker mentor Miles into the Spider-Verse take away from Miles' development as a character? No, because eventually Miles had that "What's Up Danger" scene, which in my opinion is the greatest Spider-Man moment we've ever seen in a movie. And Miles showed up and he became his own hero without the help of Peter Parker's Spider-Man. So in a way, they could use Tobey and Andrew and their versions of Spider-Man as kind of like just tools in order to build up Tom's Spider-Man even more and make him the definitive version and kind of get us to care about his Spider-Man more than ever, because now we have these 2 past generations that we all hold so close and dear to our hearts, kind of just passing the mantle down to this young Spider-Man kid who's faced enormous amounts of adversity. And I want there to be, that's one of the things I really look forward to seeing in Spider-Man No Way Home, consequence. I want to see him lose someone. I want to see him suffer. Over the course of the entire MCU, we've seen him have so much help, and he's been the kind of like a privileged version of Spider-Man, unlike Tobey and Andrew, who went through so much pain and suffering on their own. So I anticipate we're going to see that with Tom Spidey in this film, and it's going to do so much for the development of him and his character.
I like that you said that because one of the things that Brojo and I, whenever we talk about the Tom Holland's Spider-Man, one of my biggest complaints with this version of Spider-Man, as with a lot of other people who I've had discussions with, is that we feel like this is kind of a Spider Boy type of Spider-Man. Like, this is why I like the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man better than the Tobey Maguire, better than the Tom Holland, because the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, in my opinion, brought forth the Spider-Man that I grew up with, that I'm more familiar with, the one who has these one-liners. They always, he pulled the snarkiness off extremely well. It felt more like Spider-Man to me than any of the other two Spider-Man. So I think we saw Spider-Man first appear in Civil War, and then we saw him in two of the Avengers films, and then of course in his own film. And again, I always got this impression that, hi, Mr. Stark, hi, Mr. Stark, I'm Spider-Man, Mr. Stark, and I felt like he's still in his adolescence, and I want to see him mature a little bit, I guess.
Yes.
So I'm thinking with your idea, Supes, if there is a scene like that in this upcoming film where he gets some sort of training from these guys,
I just
having been around them.
I just want it to be like a definitive moment, like in Into the Spider-Verse, like What's Up Danger was that moment, and we all felt it. And like Miles, and like in a span of like 5 minutes, Miles grew from being this little Spider-Man fan who didn't know how to use his powers to like this badass superhero that we always knew he had inside. And when it comes to Tom Spider-Man, again, we've seen him be this like just like this little kind of sidekick to these amazing heroes. And I've enjoyed every single piece of it, but now it's time. Tony Stark is gone. That's it. Now it's time for him to become
his own
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Exactly.
Right. I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, no, I think one of the problems that I've had with what the MCU has done with Spider-Man is, for me, it's not so much the character, it's the tone, or me and Alec talk about this a lot. It's the setting that they place him in. It's not so much that they're not putting him through things. It's that as soon as he experiences something traumatic, the movie immediately shifts the tone into levity, or they joke too soon, or they break the tension in the film, or something ridiculous happens so you can't take it seriously. So I don't mind Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I thought, like watching Far From Home, I actually found that he did things that I thought were very organic with what I've seen Spider-Man do. I thought they were really. There was a decision that he made in the film. Was it either? So when he refuses to save the world, or he refuses to do something, there was something that I remember watching when I said, that seems like Spider-Man to me. It was that I know Nick Fury brings up the fact that, okay, well, he was fighting in space. Yeah, but I mean, they did a great explanation of that in Infinity War, that, well, you can't have a friendly neighborhood if there's no neighborhood to save. So obviously he steps out of his environment. And so I thought in Far From Home, they were really good at saying, listen, he is not this major, or not that he's not a major superhero, but that's not what Spider-Man does. Like, he's a neighborhood Spider-Man. So I thought that they did a really good job at that. So that's my opinion on that film.
Yeah, and again, not to take away anything from Tom Holland, I think he's a phenomenal actor. And I picked this up on just that one scene in the first movie. I forgot what the first movie's name was.
Civil War?
No. The
Homecoming.
Homecoming. Yeah, the scene where he finds out that his prom date's father is the Vulture. So he's just kind of looking at him like he's got this distraught look on his face. He says, okay, come on, let's go take a picture. Smile. Yeah. And he still has this distraught look on his face as everybody else is smiling. Yeah. I said, right there, that showed me that he's a good actor.
He's a great actor.
Because the way he just pulled that off, he tried so hard to smile, but he couldn't help it because he found out who this girl's father is. Mm-hmm. And So I love that. That to me showed me just that one thing right there showed me that Tom Holland is a good actor. And
I agree with you.
Yeah, and I believe it now because I've seen him in other films. So
1000%. And I believe, like, I thoroughly, like, I think Tom's Spider-Man has been literally perfect to a T in Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame. My issue is the way they treat his character and write his character in Homecoming and Far From Home. But now moving forward, I mean, we've seen Tom in movies like Devil All the Time and Cherry. The kid is a stud actor, and he's gonna continue to kill it and everything. He's gonna be playing Nathan Drake in the new Uncharted movie. Tom is a fantastic actor, and the world recognizes that. But I want to see them utilize more of those acting chops in serious moments when this character is suffering. Because ultimately, when it comes to the character of Spider-Man, his greatest superpower is his ability to endure pain and bounce back from it.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, more than any other hero in Marvel Comics and Marvel media, is the hero that suffers the most. But it's his ability to always bounce back from that and always to continue to do what's right and always to live up to that theme of with great power comes great responsibility. That's what makes that character so great. So I want to see this version of Spider-Man suffer. Happy. What is Happy still doing around? Spider-Man does not need a butler. Get rid of Happy in this movie. I know a ton of people are gonna, send hate my way because Happy has been one of the staples of the MCU. And don't get me wrong, I love Happy, but he served his purpose in this universe, and now it's time for him to serve a greater purpose in helping Peter Parker's character develop even more. So I think Happy needs to go. Again, I just want to see them utilize Tom Holland's acting chops in like serious moments, and I want to see the Spider-Man suffer, because if we look at something like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I mean, I'm sure we can all agree that up to this point, the MCU has so underutilized Sebastian Stan's acting ability in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I would like to see
great moments.
And they robbed him. I was gonna say they robbed him in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I mean, he had very little to do in that show. I was like, it really became the Falcon show.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Yeah. Well, but I do agree with you, Supes, in that saying that they really need to give him this defining moment where where they utilize his acting chops. And you're right to point out the fact that he does an incredible job in The Devil All the Time. Even in that movie where I loved it, and I thought if he was a little bit older, that would have been a great movie. Like if he just looked the part, but he did everything within his acting ability to sell those. I mean, he sold those scenes. So it's definitely something that it's like, I think they need to get rid of John Watts. I mean, like, they have to pick another director who knows how to do. We're talking about the director from Vacation. Like, I know that Spider-Man has jokes, and my favorite Spider-Man has been Tobey Maguire's and the one from the 90 animated series. My favorite Spider-Man was not like joking all the time. I mean, he quipped, and I thought they were appropriate at times. But like, you have to give Spider-Man a very a solemn world around him. Like it doesn't, like he can joke into situations. Garfield did have that. But there were other things with Garfield Spider-Man, but they need to give him a situation where like, for example, I thought they did a great job where you have Mysterio and Peter on the balcony and they're speaking to each other and he feels like he wants to give up, and Mysterio comforts him and letting him know, like, hey, this is the hero thing, that you have to do this. And Mysterio gives this great speech where he basically says, but at the end of the day, these people are going to come and destroy the city, and we need you to like man up and basically be Spider-Man. So I thought that was really good. And Tom Holland did an incredible job selling that. But then we turn around and we have scenes like Ned saying something ridiculous, and you're like, you kind of ruined the moment. It's like, I love Thor Ragnarok. I've seen it 7 times in the theaters. But one of the problems I have with Thor Ragnarok is there is so much humor that it kind of distracts from the weight of what's happening. Like, you should feel, for me, I should feel more that Thor lost his eye. But because there's so much humor, it's hard for me to really kind of relate in that suffering. So I think that's been my problem with Spider-Man. Yeah,
well, who knows what's going to happen with this one?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited for it regardless. Like, I just think I think with the guns that Marvel are bringing to this table, and Tom Holland has continuously said in interviews, like, this is the most ambitious standalone superhero movie of all time. He commented about an action sequence, talking about how this is the greatest action sequence he's ever seen in a superhero movie. And we know Doctor Strange is going to be in this one.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I did hear him say that. But
Jamie Foxx is Electro. Alfred Molina's Doc Ock. So like legit, there Daredevil. Charlie Cox is coming back as Daredevil.
Oh man, Charlie Cox. Whoa.
Yeah, but the question
Perfect
is, though, will he appear as Daredevil or will he just be?
I don't think so. I think he'll just be Matt Murdock. Peter Parker needs a lawyer. Yeah. It makes so much sense, and
I'm really happy about that, though.
Just the fact that they're bringing him back, like there's room for so much more.
Yeah, that was another one of those perfect casting decisions because
Daredevil's one of my favorites.
I need Bernthal back though. I need Bernthal back as Punisher, baby.
Yeah, man. Oh, well, he's coming back. I think there's rumors that he might come back too.
Guys, I feel like such a wimp. I never finished Punisher season 2. It was too violent.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty good,
bro. Once I saw him smash someone's face with a weight, I was like, "That's it. I'm done. I don't need any more."
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, man. If I'm dying to see what Kevin Feige has up in his head regarding the Daredevil and is he going to do anything with these characters at all?
Actor. I mean, Daredevil. I mean, for me, is Marvel.
Another one from the UK. So all these good actors playing our American superheroes from the UK. So.
They're killing it, man. Yeah, I think we're gonna see Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock as Peter's lawyer in No Way Home. Yeah, and then we'll also see him in the She-Hulk series. We've been hearing a ton of stuff about that.
And are we gonna get a? I mean, he has to get a series. He has to get a movie. He has to get. I mean, he has to get a lot of stuff. He's in like Matt I'm even calling him Matt Murdock. He's an incredible actor. Like he really brought so many layers to Daredevil that you're just like, wow. Like he was incredible. They can reach. I hope they bring back Luke Cage. I mean, I know that may be but I love Luke Cage.
Yeah, I like Luke Cage too.
He was really good. They can maybe, I don't know. I think they should keep him there. But actually bringing up Mike Coulter, I do want to talk about casting information that Warner Brothers is looking for a Black Superman. And I heard someone say maybe Mike Coulter could play Superman. Now I have to say, I'm not a fan of Michael B. Jordan playing Superman, but I am a fan of Mike Coulter because he has such a Boy Scout like charisma to him that I think that if they are going to do that, they need to give Mike Coulter a call. What do you guys think about that?
Well, first, let me say a couple of things. Number one, I didn't even think of that. Mike Coulter playing Superman. That's a really wow. No, I can see him. Yeah, because he does have that persona. He has that aura about him. I can see him easily playing either that or a Black Captain America, type of thing. Yeah, because he definitely has that Boy Scout type of persona.
Oh, I love the Boy Scout.
He's definitely not one of my favorite actors, but I can see him pulling off
No, he could definitely pull it off.
Yeah, he could definitely pull off a Kal-El, which is one of the other things I want to say. I have a problem with the rumors that I'm hearing about this upcoming Superman by J.J. Abrams. I don't
think he's going to be directing because I think I heard them say in the studio that would be sort of tone deaf if they
J.J. Abrams is producing the film. He's not directing right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Right now they have multiple directors contending. Regina King was one of them. I forgot the other directors, but they're still looking for a director for that project.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and they're looking for an actor too to play Superman. Actually, so and that's one of my problems because what I'm hearing is that they are wanting to have a Black Superman, and I'm not just talking about a Superman from another universe. I'm talking about the Superman that you and I both grew up with and know and love. Superman from Kal-El, from Krypton, who comes to Kansas and is becomes Foster's son, gets adopted by Martha and Jonathan Kent. Now, I, as a Black man, oppose this because, first of all, DC already has 4 different Supermen. And bro, I'll be repeating myself. I'll say this again for the audience there. First of all, DC Comics already has 4 different Black Supermen. Okay, and each of them have well, I only know about maybe 2 or 3 of them. I know for a fact 2 of them have some really, really interesting stories, but the one that strikes me the most interesting is a character named Cal, not Kal-El, but his name is Calvin Ellis.
Yes.
Okay, so you see the name. And from what I understand, and Supes, you can correct me, he comes from Krypton as well, but his powers do not manifest yet for a while because he doesn't get exposure or enough exposure to Earth's sun. And then at some point, fast forwarding, he finally does get exposure to the Earth's sun, gets power, but then he doesn't want to fight yet because he's a man of peace or something like that. And then eventually he ends up taking up the cape and donning the cape and becoming the Superman of that world. But he's not Kal-El. So I don't like that. This is what the studio is wanting to do. They wanted to take a character that we already know and love, that already exists, and they're race swapping him. Why don't they just go with one of the other original stories of the other Black Superman and use that instead? So, I have a personal problem with that, but go ahead.
So, Supes, what do you think about what they're doing with Superman?
Yeah, I mean, for me, again, I don't have an issue with Kal-El being black, because at the end of the day, he's Kryptonian. He's not white. He's not black. But my issue is that they already have the perfect Kal-El. You have Henry Cavill as Superman. This could have been such a great opportunity to take this solo spin-off project that's set in a completely different universe than the DC Extended Universe. That's already been confirmed. It takes place in a completely separate universe. And you could have told the story of Calvin Ellis. And when they first announced this project of a Black Superman solo project, I was so excited because I was like, finally, Calvin Ellis. Like, yes. Yeah. And even Michael B. Jordan has talked about it multiple times, how if he were to do Superman, he wouldn't do Kal-El. He would want to do Calvin Ellis. Because
Will Smith did the same thing.
You have a president that's also Superman. Like, that, it would just make for the most interesting, kind of just like struggle of being like the president of the United States while also being Superman. Like, how would that work? I mean, we all look at Peter Parker, and Peter Parker struggles enough being Spider-Man and being like a regular high school student. What's it like being the president of the United States and being Superman at the same time?
Slipping past the Secret Service.
Dude, it would be so badass. And I just thought that was such a missed opportunity to continue to expand on this DC multiverse. So like that eventually, again, we don't know what they're going to do with Flashpoint, but if they were to do a Calvin Ellis solo spinoff movie, then maybe in the future, if everything were to come together, maybe we could see a movie with Kal-El, Calvin Ellis, Sasha Calle, Supergirl. Like, and we could have had like the Superman family all come together. So, again, I'm excited for what DC has, what Warner Brothers has cooking. Matt Reeves is the Batman. That's going to be on fire. The Flashpoint movie is currently in the works. But again, I just think they've mishandled the character of Superman continuously. I just don't understand how giving Henry Cavill a Superman sequel is a question. Like, why is that even a question? But
no,
again,
people love Henry Cavill as Superman.
Dude, I don't understand what's like. Okay, we're gonna give Static Shock.
He's hard to work with. No,
we're gonna give Static Shock a movie. We're gonna give Blue Beetle a movie. We're gonna give Plastic Man a movie. We're gonna give Batgirl a movie. Like, we're gonna give all of these. Plastic Man is getting his own movie. Yes,
I didn't hear about that one. Wow.
Yeah, and I just don't understand how Plastic Man gets another movie over a Man of Steel 2. Like, how is that even?
Wow,
who would direct Man of Steel 2?
I mean, dude, it doesn't. At the end of the day, directing doesn't really matter, right? Because now since Snyder kind of finished his trilogy of films in the DC universe, or again, it should have been more than a trilogy, but Snyder is done with DC. So now moving forward, they clearly have a different vision for their universe and the way they want to take their universe. So it's all about just getting a director that matches that vision. And again, they're doing it with Shazam, with Aquaman 2, with the Batman, with There's a planned Joker sequel with Flashpoint. So like that's the beautiful thing about DC is that each film could be so different than the other movies. Like a solo Batman movie would be a lot different than Aquaman and the tone an Aquaman movie would carry.
Well, now I have a question. This is sort of random, but I noticed that Supes, your Superman shirt is the traditional Superman colors with the blue and the red. Do you like Henry Cavill's suit as Superman?
Dude, I love his suit as Superman. I thought it was very creative, I thought it was a very creative take on the Superman suit. Again, I would love to see it evolved and continue to get better because, we've seen it in Spider-Man suits. Like, just when we think we have the best Spider-Man suit, they like tweak it just to make it a little bit better, or they give him a new suit that looks even better. So, I
like Captain America. His suits have gotten incredible throughout.
And it's all about the development of the character. Like, as the character develops, so do his costumes. That's why I'm looking forward to Matt Reeves' The Batman, because he starts off in like this. Again, it's his second year as Batman. It's like this makeshift Batman suit, but over time, because Robert Pattinson's Batman is getting a trilogy, we are going to see this version of Batman continue to upgrade his suit, get new tech, and it's gonna be such a big payoff once he's in like a more classic Batman suit that's like armored up.
I can't wait to see what they're going to do with that Batman. But let me comment earlier on the Superman stuff that you're bringing up, Echo. Me personally, I want to add meat to why I don't want them to do a Black Clark Kent. The reason that I have an issue with that is anytime they do something like that, instead of giving us just black Superman, like for example, Superman does not have to be the traditional Superman. I mean, Superman Red Sun, for example, was one of the best Supermans that I have seen. And I remember watching it and I thought, this is a really good take on Superman. I mean, he was Russian. They called his name Somishka and it was an incredible Superman. Like, it was like totally different. I don't mind that. Yeah. I do have a problem. I have a sneaking suspicion that when they do things like that, we're going to get some political background noise preaching to us about how America doesn't accept X, Y, and Z. And so I get a fear that, okay, if they're going to do that, like, for me, it's almost like when they gender swap, sometimes it works. I thought Ancient One, I didn't mind her being a woman. I thought Tilda Swinton did a great job. I loved her as Ancient One. I didn't care about that. I think with the Eternals, I don't really know the heroes, so it's no big deal that they're swapping it around. But for me, it's like I think Will Smith, when he was going to do, I think Warner Brothers asked him to play Superman, I think he said something to the effect of, especially at the time when they asked him, that he didn't think it would be a good idea. Like I think Tyrone Magnus is talking about, like, if you want to have controversy, I don't think it'll be as much today. Do something like that, and it's not because of it's not racist. What we're saying is just create a new hero. I mean, or give us a Superman. Tweak his origin story, do some differences. But when you do things like that, it's like doing female James Bond to me. It's like, why are they doing a female James Bond? Like that's how I view something like that. I
mean, I don't mind it, again, because if the way I see it is that if their gender or their race isn't integral to the character's story, then it doesn't necessarily matter. Like, Black Panther has to be black because it's integral to him and his story and where he comes from. But Superman is an alien, like, he's Kryptonian, so he doesn't necessarily have to be white. But I just think there's so much to pick from source material. If your goal is to make a black Superman movie, there's so much source material to pick from and exciting stories to bring to life that's already available to you, instead of just redoing a version of Superman that we've continuously seen adapted to the big screen.
Sure. I think that's a good point to bring up. If it's not integral to the story, then it's not necessary for them to do. I agree with that. I'm just afraid of the political backdrop that we're going to get when we see that kind of stuff. That to me becomes the biggest fear of these films, because I mean, you're going to alienate people in the audience. You're going to, instead of trying to bring everyone to the theater to have an immersive experience, you're going to have, like with Black Panther, you had people tweeting I mean, there were people actually tweeting and asking what week was appropriate for white people to go because they didn't want to ruin the Black experience. And I thought this was supposed to be an immersive experience. I mean, no one does this with white superheroes. We just want heroes that are organically written. We're not trying to promote a racial narrative or anything like that. Just give us superheroes. For me, the best way to do racial justice is to give us good Black heroes, and that's it. Don't give us any political bent. Just give us the good heroes.
I like that you used the word organic. There's a guy that I subscribe to. His name is Jody, Jody's Corner, and he used that exact word with regard to the Superman. To these type of films, make a film that doesn't feel like it's constructed in order to push some sort of propaganda. Make a film that seems sincere, it's organic, it's kind of taking a toll of its own, so on and so forth. And that's my biggest fear about it. This verse, and again, it's not about Superman being Black. It's an issue with me personally. It's an issue with Kal-El being Black. But if they do a good story, they tell a story.
I love it.
In a sense of a what if type of thing, maybe to work. Again, and we got Ta-Nehisi Coates, who is writing the script, from what I understand, and
yes,
that's another fear that I have too. I mean, because I feel we're gonna have a lot
here's
of political stuff in it. So
here's the thing about the what if scenario that you brought up. A what if scenario is not the same thing, right? Like you're not afraid they're going to give a political bent to it. Like for example, Marvel's doing that with Black Panther. I forget exactly. Supes, do you remember what they're doing? I know Black Panther is being twisted his background, and they're also twisting the background of Peter Quill. Isn't Peter Quill in Wakanda? And I think they're doing something different. I don't mind that when you're talking about like, well, what if in this universe has happened? But for me, it's just like the way that I felt with for example, Superman. If you're going to do Lex Luthor, give us Lex Luthor. Don't give us Joker, Riddler 2.5, and then say this is Lex Luthor's son. It's like, well, no. There is something like not only what's integral to a character is the character's character, right? Like how they are. So if they're going to do a character and they rip them so far from who they are, you eventually say, why don't you just slap another name on these people? Because these aren't the people. I mean, not that they have to have the same back. Like I think. Supes, I don't know if you've played. You probably have played the Batman Telltale games. They are for me the best Batman game. Period. Like they are incredible with the way they change the story. So I don't mind differences in story, but I want them to feel organic or make Bruce Wayne's father a part of the mob. And you go, oh, what would that do to Batman if his father wasn't the hero that he thought he was? Like so I think things like that are fine. I just want them to be organic. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, it could always turn out to be a good story. So if he ends up being Clark Kent, I guess we could kind of look at it through the same perspective as the Joker film. The Joker film. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things we can relate to with regard to the things we grew up with, knowing who Joker is. But this is definitely not the same Joker, obviously, right. And but it was still just as enjoyable. So
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the way I see it is that like I love the character of Superman as much as I love Henry Cavill and the way he plays the character. My love and loyalty is to the character. That's all I want to see. So the fact that we're getting to see this character again, and there's something moving with this character, it's not just like we're dead in the water and we don't know the next time we're going to see Superman on the big screen. I mean, that's exciting. Like as a Superman fan, I have something to look forward to, where I'm going to see this character that made me who I am once again have a story told on the big screen.
Now, is Henry Cavill your favorite Superman? I think you've said that, right?
Yes. Henry Cavill is my favorite Superman.
Now, you've seen Christopher Reeve, you've seen Brandon Routh. How do you compare those Supermans? Like, why Henry Cavill or over those Supermans? How do they compare in your mind?
I mean, they all just fit their time. Like as a literal baby who couldn't even walk yet, I mean, I was watching the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, and that's what first got me into superheroes. And it was cheesy, and it was like straight out of the comic book pages, but it it was awesome. It was awesome to see, and
Great story.
I thought it was so cool, and that's what got me into superheroes. So the Christopher Reeve Superman will always hold a special place in my heart, and then the Brandon Routh version was like our first taste of like a modern day Superman. Like, what would Superman look in the modern day, you know? And then Henry Cavill's Superman was just like, it took it to a whole nother level with the VFX and the special effects and immersing him and creating this DC universe in like on the biggest scale ever. Like, we never saw action, or I guess like, Superman action the way we did in Man of Steel. And Zack Snyder did a master job at just like crafting the story visually, because you could criticize Snyder all you want, but one thing you can't criticize is the way he shoots his films, because they're just beautifully shot.
Oh yeah.
And that's what we got with Man of Steel.
Yeah, he's known.
I remember watching Superman being like 8 years old, and he flies up, and I go, Is that a wire? Do I actually see a wire taking off right now? So you're right. They're definitely cheesy. For me, my favorite Superman is Christopher Reeves. And I mean, I recently rewatched it, I think a year ago. And I said, okay, is it nostalgia or is it really well written? And for me, those films are so well written. And Christopher Reeve does such an incredible job at balancing Clark Kent and Superman, so that, like, in my mind, I can see how is it that people don't realize it's Superman? Because he's so different. Like, it really is incredible to see, like, the way that he did that. And then Brandon Routh, I thought he was a good continuation of sort of what they were doing with Christopher Reeve. I thought the film was far too dark. I thought they could have, and far too slow. I thought they could have did something better with that. And I think Zack Snyder did great visuals with Superman. I mean, I'm not a fan of what he did with Superman. I thought the best that Superman was for me in the current DC verse was in, believe it or not, the theatrical cut of Justice League. I thought that was the first time they made a suit lighter. He had freeze breath and he was like campy again. Like, I was like, oh man, they're giving us Boy Scout Superman. And for me, I was happy to see that. Because one of the problems that I've had with Henry Cavill Superman is that people would say, just wait, he's becoming Superman. No, Man of Steel, he wasn't Superman yet. He's becoming Superman. Okay, well, how many years is it going to be before he's Superman? When are we going to see the Boy Scout again? Are we going to ever see him be a Boy Scout? And so when they did it with Justice League, I went, oh, this is great. And Justice League, the Snyder Cut was great. So I enjoy what they did there. But that's, yeah. So you look like you didn't agree with that.
Bro, that movie, Justice League, is a disgrace. I'm sorry, bro. That movie's a disgrace.
It had some nuggets. It had some good nuggets in there.
When it comes to,
I love that you're like, they had some.
Yeah, I mean, like, I did like the comedy in it. But yeah.
Nah,
I mean, I truly felt fulfilled with the Snyder cut. With the Snyder.
But you didn't think they did a good job.
The Snyder cut was the best version. We got to see the best version of all of these characters in Zack Snyder's Justice League. I think that was the best version of Superman. And again, like, this was a Superman. Like, people always like to criticize, like, oh, Superman's so dark. He's not that Boy Scout yet. But like, this is literally, in Man of Steel, we got to see him become Superman. And then after that, he literally did not have a break. Like a couple months later, we had Batman versus Superman. He died in that movie. And then when he came back in Justice League, again, he was that symbol of hope that brought the entire league together, and he was dead. So, like, we never even got to see him back to being Clark Kent, back to being the normal Boy Scout that we know him to be. And this entire, I guess, 3-movie arc that Snyder had him going down, we were seeing the construction of the greatest superhero of all time. And if we got that in the first movie, where he's being like Christopher Reeves' version of the character, where he's just like, again, he has this 2-person identity down packed, where he's Clark Kent and then he's also Superman. Well, then there wouldn't have really been a payoff, like, down the line. But in Man of Steel, we got to see him come to grips with his destiny, and that he was born to be this superhero and be this beacon of hope for the world. Then in Batman versus Superman, we got to see that be challenged. Like, is he really doing the right thing by being Superman? Because by being Superman, it raises a ton of enemies, and he has to pick sides and make certain decisions that might not be right for the world. Superman might not be right for the world, and that's what Batman versus Superman was all about. But then after in Justice League, we got to see that the world needs Superman. We were wrong about him.
Yeah.
Whether you like him or not, it's what he stands for and what he inspires other people to be is more important than anything else. So we got to see him turn in Justice League, and by the end of that, we got to see him back to being Clark Kent. But again, what would we see in a Man of Steel 2 now, coming off of Justice League? We would see that Boy Scout Clark Kent, because Superman is finally developed. His entire arc was completed, and now we can see him tackle newer threats, face bigger obstacles as the Superman that we know him to be.
Yeah, wow, I never looked at it that way. That makes a lot of sense. And I think that would further explain as to why the Man of Steel appeared to be so dark for a lot of people, because Brojo, I've shared this with you before. In my opinion, I think what Snyder was trying to do with Man of Steel was to put us in a position, put us in a world where you have this alien from another planet who looks like us, but yet he's grown, over the years, he's grown accustomed to our culture, to our society, so on and so forth. But he's not like us, though. He's different. And with that, there comes some consequences, because he has to hide his power. He has to hide his true identity, so on and so forth, so that his family is not harassed by the government. Maybe I'm kind of making excuses, I guess, but maybe he just hasn't had enough time to really, or confidence really, to really develop in the fashion that would bring him, that would make him a Boy Scout at that time, And the way you explained it, Supes, again, after Man of Steel, what happens next? He's fighting Zod. He's fighting Zod. He's breaking stuff all over Metropolis, and then Doomsday comes in from Batman versus Superman.
Doomsday.
Yeah. Oh gosh, don't get me started on that. Yeah. But anyway, so I think if they come up with a Man of Steel 2, it would make more sense that they would give us the good old fashioned Boy Scout, brighter blue suit that that we're familiar with.
Ultimately, that's what Zack Snyder's Justice League was. It was the birth of the universe. It was the birth of the universe. We got to taste a little bit of the Green Lantern Corps. We got to taste more of Ben Affleck's Batman evolving over the events of Batman versus Superman. Wonder Woman, her and the entire world of Themyscira, The Flash, Cyborg, Aquaman, and now Superman is back, but it's actually like it's Superman. So Zack Snyder's Justice League was the birth of the DC universe, and because they're not going to continue to they're not going to continue the Snyderverse. They're not going to continue this story. We're not going to get, I guess, the payoff that would have happened for each and every single one of these characters coming off of Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Well, I have to say, I think that in just listening to you guys talk about it, I think that there is some God-given gift of being able to speak this, because that was the best presentation of what Zack Snyder was attempting to do. And as I'm listening to it, I think, okay, that kind of makes sense. I've seen Man of Steel, I think, twice. I have not, this is how much I didn't like it when I was a kid. I have not even attempted to sit down and watch the movie again. I wouldn't watch it, maybe now after you just pitched it differently, but I wouldn't watch the movie if Zack Snyder invited me over to his house to watch it. But can I wash the dishes for you? Can I figure something else out to do? Because I really, for me, I just thought that what they did was bad. But I mean, you present it in terms of this 3-story arc that they're trying to build him up there. I understand that. I guess probably what happened is because of Snyder stepping off, we didn't get to see the fulfillment of his vision. And so it's hard to see that. But that's why I say, for me, the theatrical cut did two good things. They gave us that really cool scene where Cyborg enters into the first time you see a Cyborg enter into screen. And then they gave us Boy Scout Superman. So we haven't gotten it yet, and that was the only one that we did get. And so I thought, you know what, I'm happy that we've gotten something, and it showed me at least that Henry Cavill can be Superman. And when I looked at that, I went, okay, he is capable of pulling this off, right? Because I didn't know, was it the actor, was it the fact that the writing was bad, or the way? And it clearly Henry Cavill can play that Boy Scout Superman because he was doing that in Justice League. So I think that was good for me. So no, I think that was a very good pitch for what Zack Snyder was doing, and maybe you guys ought to help Snyder market a little bit better what he's doing, because he, you know, I understand why Warner Brothers won't continue the Snyderverse. I mean, even if you like his films, I mean, he gave you these controversial films after controversial films. That, I mean, when you have the two greatest
studio interference, bro. Like even Batman versus Superman, they came out with the Ultimate Edition, and again, when you mess with a director's vision, like again, the movie will not be presented the way it's supposed to be. Look what happened with the Snyder Cut. That was even that movie they still messed with, because that Snyder plans to have Jon Stewart appear in that film, and the fact that Warner Brothers said, all right, the fans have been asking for it for years. Snyder, we're going to give you $70 million to go out and finish this movie exactly how you intended it.
Yeah.
The Snyder Cut was not controversial. It was rated. When it comes to ratings, the Snyder Cut is the best rated DC movie. Yeah. And I think a ton of fans will agree. It's probably the best DC Cinematic Universe movie.
Oh, yeah, probably one of the best since we had the Dark Knight trilogy. I was shocked that I was like, whoa, I mean, just from the opening, like I just didn't understand why the studio didn't I mean, I really thought I was going to watch this awful movie, but it really felt like, to me, like I was watching a extended Saturday morning cartoon in the best way that you could possibly mean that. It was like really good.
That was a love letter to DC fans. That movie was a love letter to DC fans. It brought to life the damn characters that the greatest heroes of all time, because again, I love both Marvel and DC. I don't love one over the other, but the Justice League are the greatest superheroes of all time. We're talking Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Cyborg, Aquaman. Like, these are the greatest characters of all time. And Snyder brought these characters to life in the best way possible. Yeah. And man, that movie was just, it's honestly one of my favorite superhero movies.
It is a fun movie.
How many times have you seen it? Is. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just asking you how many times you've seen it, because I know you've seen Endgame 50 times. So how many times have you seen this?
Yeah, dude, I've probably seen the Snyder Cut at least like 10, 11.
No way.
It's a 4-hour long movie.
Dude, in the first 3 days it came out, because I got an early screening for it. In the first 3 days it came out, I had seen it like 4 or 5 times. Wow. Because the thing is, I was just like, when these movies come out, I love watching it and experiencing it for the first time with different people. So like, I'll experience, like, for the first time I watched it, it was like an early screening. So I watched that by myself. Then I had early access to it. So the next day I woke up and I watched it again to make sure this was real. And then I had my friends came over. We watched it with the boys. And then I watched it with my mom. So I watched it like 4 or 5 times in the first like 3 days.
You watched it with your mom?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, man. It's
again. She like it?
You got a cool mom.
Yeah, she loved it. And
oh wow.
Like, yeah, it's a 4-hour movie, but
she won't sit down and watch it. Oh man.
It's a 4-hour movie, but it doesn't even feel like 4 hours, just because it's so fast paced and it's so like just nonstop from beginning to end. It keeps you.
It is a fun movie.
I mean, you know, so funny. My father, you know, I grew up, he was taking me to see all these movies, and he will not watch the Snyder Cut. And he's like, how long is it for? No. You can't get him to watch a 4-hour
You got to
movie.
watch it in the parts. That's why it's broken up in parts. Get him to watch a part.
Is that what you did, Supes? When you watched it a second time, you watched it in parts, or?
Oh, nah, bro. I don't watch that movie in parts. Nah, bro. I don't watch that movie in parts.
See, and I was talking about that too with the movie, the film, The Irishman that came out last year, I think it was, with the Robert De Niro, big old Italian cast there.
Yes, sir.
The movie is 4 hours long. It's on Netflix. But when I watched it, it didn't feel like 4 hours to me. I enjoyed it every bit, just the acting, and I kind of felt the same way about the Snyder Cut a little bit too. I didn't feel that I mean, yeah, it was long. I think the only reason why it might have felt long for us that day, Brojo, when we watched it, was because it was late at night. It was kind of late.
Yeah.
And we were already kind of a little bit, settling down, I guess, because we had just watched the first episode of the Falcon that day too, I think. So, but other than that, though, I mean, I didn't feel that the movie was taking too long. I didn't do one of these things that, I enjoyed the film, and especially the scenes where we kind of got a little bit more explanation about who the cyborg's background. Because I can tell you something right now, man. With that theatrical cut, I hated Cyborg. I thought he was the most boring superhero, live action superhero I've ever seen on the big screen.
Yeah, I got it. Let me
this version here was better, way better. And
let me just say this: I am so, and you know this, with every fiber of my being, absolutely abhor calling it the Justice League. I'm like you know how much I cringe. Like for me, it's like he gave us the greatest superhero film of all time. He gave us Age of Ultron, gave us Avengers. I mean, everything that he's done has been either good or gold. If you give a guy 3 months to work on a film that someone else has done, who are stylistically totally different directors, say here's 3 minutes, here's 3 months to totally redo.
Oh, look at that!
Here's
I gotta cop one of those, man.
Here's 3 months to totally redo what one director was doing. I mean, anyone's gonna mess the film up. So for me, it's like, is it really the Justice League? Now, you can argue Zack Snyder's name is still listed as a director. Joss Whedon never got a director's credit. He only got a writer's credit, which suggested he only contributed with 30% of 30% to the film. He would have had to have a director's credit if most of that film was his. But of course, the reason that the DGA gave him, or no, I think it's the WGA, the Writers Guild of America. The reason they gave him a writer's credit was because they were basically saying that he wrote enough to change the tone of the film, which is why he has that credit in that. But for me, it's like, it's so unfair to put that whole film on Joss Whedon. I mean, if it's going to be studio interference, for me, it's like, just make it studio interference. Like, it wasn't like every scene he added was trash. Now, there were scenes that were trash that he added. I mean, for sure. But for me, when you
Joss Whedon,
Joss Whedon, no, for sure.
That first scene with Batman, oh gosh, I didn't like that.
That was, yeah. Joss Whedon he's not perfect. But for me, if you're gonna give me the greatest superhero film of all time, I mean, and then give me a second follow-up that was great, I want to be gracious in saying that you ruined the film. So for me, I call it the Snyder Cut 1.0 or the theatrical release.
Bruh, I don't know if we saw the same movie, but there was nothing Snyder related in Justice League, straight up. Like, legit, the best parts, the best little snippets of Justice League were all from Snyder. So, like, again, I mean, you just see with everything the cast says of the way they were treated during the reshoots, and with Joss Whedon, when you're a director, you are the leader of a production. So that production, I mean, you can just do your own research and go and just see the abomination that was those reshoots when Joss Whedon took over. So yeah, that's why I put a lot of the stuff on him. And obviously, again, it's no secret that WB does not know how to handle DC projects.
No,
right.
And that's not a secret. I mean, everyone knows that. So
they really need to give the rights back to Marvel.
Richard Donner for Superman, if you ask me.
They need to give the rights back to Marvel. Maybe we should start saying that. I think I would love to see Kevin Feige handle DC. I would love to see him. Him and Jeff Johns are great. I would love to see, because he worked under Richard Donner, right? Kevin Feige. I would love to see him take a shot.
I think he was inspired by Richard Donner, right? Yeah. Did he? Did he actually work on him?
He did work with Richard Donner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I mean, Richard Donner. Because you saw what happened with Superman 2, Christopher Reeve.
Halfway through the film slowly got terrible.
Yeah, because Richard Donner, I think he either got fired or something happened where he had to leave the production, and then another director took over from that point on, and you just kind of saw it just spiral down as the movie progresses. Yeah, Richard Donner did an absolute outstanding job with Mario Puzo's work writing in the first movie.
Fantastic.
And yeah,
even the Donner cut I thought had really good bits. I mean I love where he tricks Lois. No, Lois tricks him by shooting the gun, but there was no bullet in there, and he reveals that he's. I thought like that was a pretty good scene. But for me, I understand the problem with the reshoot Supes. For me, it's from what I hear Ray Fisher talk about. I mean, from all the complaints that Ray Fisher's bringing up, I mean, from talking about your barber didn't get a credit to he's so racist because of that, and he asked you to say a certain line a certain way. Isn't he the director? I mean, I listened to Jamie Foxx say that Quentin Tarantino got in his face and like cussed and said, "You're going to do this scene this way. You're not going to change." That's just how directors are. Like, that is the world of Hollywood. Like, when you're on a set, like it really isn't like everyone's not like respectfully, like not that they shouldn't be, but everybody is not just like, could you please say this line again? I'm sure like Whedon had a lot of stress on him. He came in last 3 months, had to do this whole like this major project, wasn't his film to begin with. So I don't know. That's how I see it.
Nah, bro. I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that one. I mean, I get that. Again, it was a tough project to come onto, but that's not an excuse for the way you treat people, the way you treat your employees, the way you treat other actors. And again, like just look into all the Ray Fisher stuff, the Gal Gadot stuff, just the entire, when you have an entire cast that's rallying behind the common consensus that these reshoots, like there was so much more that went on behind these reshoots. The cast were mistreated. Again, it speaks volumes. If it were one person, okay, but it's the entire cast. So
yeah, I think Gal Gadot definitely. I agree that situation wasn't good. But for me, I mean, I just look at it as the director is in control of everything. He is directing the ship here, and from what I heard from Ray Fisher, it just seemed like he was being obstinate. Like I heard him say he thought it was racist that they had the black character say "booyah." Have you seen Teen Titans? Do you think any? I mean, like, that's kind of like a cyborg thing, right? Like, so that's.
And that's sad too, man, because I really like Ray Fisher, man.
He's perfectly cast as cyborg.
I mean, he's got the perfect physique, he's got the face for it, and I really believe he's a good actor too. I mean, just watching him play cyborg, the certain cues that he has with other actors, I think his timing is excellent. I think he could turn out to be a very, very good actor, but. That was like another perfect casting, like what they did with Cyborg. Like he was really good as Cyborg. Perfect. I can't see anybody else playing it.
Again, to like see what they did with Cyborg in Justice League compared to the Snyder Cut, like, dude, he was the heart of that movie. He was so important to everything that went down.
Yeah.
And for them to cut out that entire story, the entire backstory, like you guys can literally see it on my on my hoodie. It says, like you are not alone and you are not broken or something like that.
Never faced us before or something like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, but just the Cyborg's entire story perfectly represents what that movie's all about. Like, again, Zack Snyder's Justice League was put together after the tragic passing of Zack's daughter, and that's why he had to step away from that movie. And all of the money that has been raised from merch sales. And a ton of the money so much money has been raised for suicide prevention, and then for Cyborg to have that arc in that movie where he doesn't feel like he's human, where he doesn't feel like he's enough. Then by the end of it, for him to tear apart those mother boxes, and in a way he's almost tearing apart his family. Like that's why they had his family depicted as the mother boxes that he's tearing apart. And then for him to acknowledge, like, I am not broken. I am not alone. What that did for so many people out there is something he saved lives were saved with that line. I can guarantee you, because there's so many people that watch that and internalize that. And for them to just do what they did with Cyborg's story and just completely throw it out the window, it's disgusting.
I gotta say, I
And you
wish
make me want
I
to see the
had
movie
your.
again
Oh
now.
yeah, I was gonna say, I wish I had his movie experience where he describes scenes. One thing I will say about Snyder is, even though I'm not a fan of a lot of his work, Batman for sure was better in the Snyder cut. Like they,
1000%.
like that's the one thing that, like, I was like,
1000%.
oh, Whedon, you can't destroy. Like Batman was like I was like, man, he's actually Batman here. Like one of the stupid things that I think Whedon shot, like Whedon has what they call Whedonisms, where like he like makes the characters a little too human. And like the way they shot Batman in this theatrical cut, like it was almost like, why is he a part of the Justice League? And then when they shot it in the Snyder cut, you're like, oh, he's actually important to the team. Like he's actually like formidable. He's actually able to handle like the parademons. He was not doing a good job in the theatrical cut. So for sure, Snyder, he did a good job with Batman. Of course, you have to put the fact that, you know, he has Batman snap people's necks and shoot people, but for the most part, he does. For me, Ben Affleck's Batman, I used to have a cardboard cutout of Ben Affleck's Batman about 6 foot back here. He is my favorite Batman, and for sure. So the Snyder cut is incredible.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were really surprised to see the performance that Ben Affleck did as Batman. Because I know I'm sure I'm not the only one here. We all probably felt the same when we heard that Ben Affleck was going to play Batman. The first time we just like, what? Batman, pretty boy Ben Affleck playing Batman? No. But then as time started to go on, right, I started watching more of his movies. You know, I saw Good Will Hunting, so that he wrote that and got an Academy Award for that. I saw him in other films. I didn't like him, but I saw that he was a decent actor.
What's the one he did with the guy with autism? The Accountant. No, The Accountant was very good. That was very good.
That was good. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see that until after Batman vs Superman. But and then you saw Argo. You know, I started thinking, you know what? I think he's going to pull this off. I think he's going to pull it off, and sure enough, he did. I mean, he's got the chin, you know, the chin. He's got the face for it. He's got the jawline, and I just love. But more than his role as Batman, I love the way he played Bruce Wayne. Gosh,
I mean, how
so
great
smooth and debonair. Make it be the next James Bond, man.
You know, how great is that scene where he's talking to Aquaman, and he says, I just love this. He says, get out. And he goes, make me. Oh, I was like, oh, that's the Batman I'm looking for. Like, he's formidable.
Now, here's my thing. I do like Christian Bale's Batman better than Ben Affleck's Batman. But I like Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne better.
Oh, he's just incredible.
He's just smooth.
Oh, man.
Got the Playboy character, Playboy during the day. That I would expect to see.
Yeah, I mean,
from the cartoons.
I mean, look, Christian Bale is next level acting. Like Christian Bale. I mean, Ben Affleck's good, but I mean, Christian Bale is like unbelievable. Like the fact that he's going to be in a Marvel movie, I'm like, man, like,
and playing a villain.
Gotta see it. Oh man, I hope
it's not his first time playing a villain either. So you know, he plays villains pretty well. So.
Yeah. Marvel's got some good stuff going, man. Christian Bale, Gore the God Butcher.
Oh yeah.
Now, Supes, do you know if it's going to be totally CGI, or is he going to have some like a lot of like face acting, like we're going to see him?
Yeah, I mean, we don't know as of right now, but some set pictures dropped like a week ago, maybe, of him in Australia. And it looks like it's going to be some CGI, some practical. So it might be a mix of both. But regardless, I think Marvel's going to do whatever they can. And Marvel has proven in the past that even with CGI characters, they can still showcase just the amazing performances by the actors. Like you just look at Josh Brolin and the performance he gave as Thanos. Exactly. So it's still going to be incredible regardless. And I just know Christian Bale. I mean, we all know his acting talent. He's one of the Hollywood A-list actor. And he's going to come and he's going to deliver one of the creepiest performances
Oh man.
and probably be one of the best villains in the entire MCU, easily.
Oh,
Where's
wow.
Thor?
Speaking of villains, me and Alec were talking about this. I have to say, Agatha is one of my favorite villains. I'm sorry.
Really?
She was
all
so
along.
like, for me, it's not even because the villain was so great, but because Catherine Hahn's performance was
She was
so
great. She was great.
unbelievable. Man,
She is.
She
My
was
favorite,
like,
my favorite villain is Hela from Thor and Thor Ragnarok.
oh,
I-
nice.
Maybe it's because I kind of find her physically attractive too. But she was scary, man, because the part where she catches Mjolnir and crushes it, that just surprised me. I didn't see that coming at all.
Oh, right.
And that's just like, okay, I'm scared of this person. I'm actually scared of this character. You know?
Well, I felt, Marvel did such a great job with WandaVision, and I do want to transition there. So, Supes, I saw some of your reactions to WandaVision, and you've now seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier. What show did you prefer?
Dude, again, I think both shows were just incredible. What a way to debut on Disney Plus, just to showcase kind of and set the stage for everything that's coming. Because now we're gonna have these expectations for Loki, for Miss Marvel, for Hawkeye, for everything else. So I think both shows were incredible. Both were very different experiences, and for me, I personally enjoyed the experience of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier a lot more. I think the whole 40 to an hour long episodes, even though it was only 6 episodes, it felt like we were getting a mini movie every single week. And by the end of it, I enjoyed the story of Sam and Bucky's story. I enjoyed both of their stories and the way they developed as characters over the course of that season a lot more than just the overall story that we saw in WandaVision. But I love both. And again, I got to give props to Marvel for WandaVision because that is the most different thing they've ever done with the MCU.
Yeah.
So good.
And again, they took a risk, and I think it's so important that Marvel continues to take risks, even though they're already reaching massive levels of success. So I gotta applaud them for both series and shows. But I personally enjoy the Falcon and the Winter Soldier a lot more.
One of the things I was saying, I think I said to you, Veckel, recently about the show is that one thing that Kevin Feige is going to have to do is not just top what he's been doing or produce good content, but he's going to have to fight against superhero fatigue. And they are, because people have been talking about, is there going to be superhero fatigue? And I think the pandemic served sort of as a stall period where we didn't have anything. And so it kind of helps out. But I think when I saw WandaVision, when I watched it, I went, wow, they really are truly innovating these characters. Like, they bossed up Wanda to like an A-list character. They made Vision is an A-list character for me. Like, Vision was incredible. Like, I went, I didn't even know these actors were able to act to that level that they were able to act until this show. Like, right. This was like unbelievable. Like, I know some people were saying, they didn't think that WandaVision was movie quality. Movie quality to me is this: the writing isn't CW. The writing, the powers don't get downgraded, and the actors remain the same, and they give the same performances that they would give in a movie. And in that sense, for me, WandaVision was movie level. Like, my biggest fear when I heard that they were doing Disney Plus, I was like, oh gosh, they're going to give a CW CGI. Oh my goodness. We're going to get the cheap acting and the cheap lines and the cringe coffee shop scenes, because they don't have any money to go anywhere else. They did an incredible job with world building. They used her powers in inventive, creative ways. Even those first 2 episodes where they changed stylistically the way that her powers were being used, I thought was incredible. And the chemistry, again, credits to Joss Whedon for casting these 2 incredible actors who are like, he didn't cast Paul Bettany, but he casted him as the Vision. And to have that foresight to say they're going to be in a relationship, and they casted these actors where you really bought it. Because I know one of the complaints with Infinity War, some people said they felt the relationship was rushed. Here it wasn't. Like, here was like, you got everything you were looking for. Like, they killed it with WandaVision. And again, Catherine Hahn. I love Catherine Hahn. She did. I wish I knew she was gonna. Did you expect her to be the villain? Like I couldn't. I didn't expect it, but I should have, because she was the villain in Into the Spider-Verse, and she had a role like that. But
no, I was looking for the stereotypical, guy with the curly mustache behind the curtain. And that's what I was looking for, something along those lines. But again, as the show progressed, spoiler alert for those who haven't seen. I started, okay, something is off. Okay. I think what really started to, when things started to really draw me closer to believing that she was behind it, was that big argument between Wanda and Vision. How Wanda was just flat out lying to him about stuff. Or was she? I don't know. But I know when I was watching that scene, I was just like, she just lied to him. She just lied to Vision in his face. And then sure enough, he responded like, don't lie to me.
Stop lying to me.
Yeah. So, I mean, I got scared because I don't know. I mean, because Vision, he could put a hurting on somebody too, but not as much as WandaVision. So she could just crush him just by moving some fingers around and stuff. So, and then I started to realize, okay, something is up with this chick, Agatha. But I don't know yet. So she must be connected somehow, but I don't know. I don't know what. So, and finally, as you know, we finally get the good old song. It was Agatha. Oh, la, la.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Classic.
Which got very popular on the internet really, really fast. So there's already cover art, cover videos, people playing their own version of the song on the guitar and on the piano. It's kind of cool.
It's incredible. Incredible. But
the thing with me, man, that really drew me to this thing, because a lot of people, Brogy, you've heard this before. People were complaining about how slow the show is. From the beginning of the show was slow, and it's too slow. It's boring. But then after the third episode came out, people were just like, oh, okay, what's gonna happen next?
Right.
Now, but I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I knew that, okay, this is Kevin Feige material. Something weird is going to happen eventually. And, so we just had to pay close attention. If it was boring, look for Easter eggs, look for stuff. That's always been my motto, give the pilot a chance, give it a chance,
right, especially since they were only 22-minute episodes, were they?
It was a masterpiece of a show. It really was. And credit to Kevin Feige, credit to everyone over there, Team Marvel at Marvel Studios, because for them to debut on Disney Plus with a show that got so affected by the pandemic, and for them to still pull off what they did, it was just, I can't applaud them enough.
So, Supes, what do you think about, and I saw you talk about this a little bit, Doctor Strange initially was in WandaVision.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to talk about that because I don't really know all the details. What have you guys heard?
This was something that I talked about before the show even came out. And then by the time the show ended, he never ended up showing up. And I was like,
So you suspected
Strange?
So you suspected that he was going to show up at some point, right?
1,000%.
Because I heard that too, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, 1,000%. And then, and now Kevin Feige recently came out a week ago and said that Strange was going to be in WandaVision. They shot with him. He was going to be in the show, but he got cut out because they wanted to keep the focus of the ending of the show on Wanda, and that's exactly what happened. The show ended, and the big reveal was Wanda becoming Scarlet Witch. It wasn't, she just cracked open the multiverse. Doctor Strange showed up. No, the ending of the show was focused on Wanda, as it should be, because it was her show.
As it should be, yeah.
And Kevin Feige also revealed that the commercials that we saw throughout each of the sitcom episodes were actually supposed to be Strange trying to contact Wanda.
Yeah, I heard about
that.
So
it would have made so much sense. I would have loved to have seen Strange in the show, and I think they could have done it in a way where we still see Strange, but again, Wanda was still the focus of that ending. So
do you have any knowledge on what Kevin Feige said at the end of his quote? He said, I don't even like the quote, but that's not the part I want to ask about. He says, "Here's a white guy with power," right? And that's one of the reasons they didn't include Doctor Strange. Not the main reason, but one of the reasons. Let me show you how power works. Uh, I haven't heard anyone talk about this, but to me, that sounds like, from Kevin Feige's perspective, if Doctor Strange would have been in there, would he have been more powerful than Wanda? Like, I remember Agatha says your power exceeds that of the Sorcerer Supreme, but remember, Doctor Strange isn't the Sorcerer Supreme yet. So is it, do you think that, Supes, do you think that there could be something behind that maybe Doctor Strange is more powerful than Wanda? Which I hope so. I was so happy. I got to tell you, I heard people say he was a fly or that he was trapped by Agatha. There is no way to disrespect a character more than to have them trapped to have a character trapped in someone else's story only for them to be rescued by another hero. Like, this isn't a cartoon. Like, that is so disrespectful to the characters. I'm glad they didn't do that. But do you think there's anything behind that quote from Feige that maybe Strange is more powerful?
I mean, I think Feige has said multiple times that Wanda is the most powerful character. And I do think she's the most powerful character, but raw power doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win in a fight, right? Like, sure. Batman beat Superman. You know what I'm saying? Right. Strange is someone who's just, again, he's a magnet for knowledge, for reading, and he spent years learning all of the stuff he did in order to become the Sorcerer Supreme. He read those books, he trained with other sorcerers, and it took him a long time to become the Sorcerer Supreme. Now, when it comes to Wanda, she's just over. We've seen her from the beginning of we've seen her entire journey throughout the MCU, and she's just been this character that just has extreme amounts of raw power. And now that she's reading the Darkhold, she's learning how to use that power, and we're seeing her become Scarlet Witch. Up to this point, she's just been Wanda, which is just like this super powerful being with abilities from the Mind Stone. But now she's becoming Scarlet Witch because she's actually learning how to use this power, harness it. And I think once she learns how to do that, she will be more powerful than Strange, and we'll see that play out in Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Wanda appear in this the Doctor Strange film. Yeah, I am so that's
he's the master of the mystic arts. Do you think, is Wanda, do you know if she's going to be the villain in Doctor Strange, or what they're attempting to do with that character?
I don't know, man, but I'm certainly excited to see what they do with Wanda's character coming off of WandaVision and how that connects to Multiverse of Madness.
Do you think they're going to do anything with Vision? I think next year. Is it 2022? Multiverse of Madness?
2022, I think, yeah.
Yes, sir. February
2022. The best thing that happened to Sam Raimi was one of the good things that happened to him was getting this pandemic, because he had more time to totally rewrite and totally make the film his own, right? Like he didn't have to be limited to, let's start shooting in a couple of months. Like now he had like this extended amount of time to rewrite the story in a way that he would do it, which was really good. So let me just bring up the last thing, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We have not talked about that. Supes, what did you think about Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Dude, I loved it, man. It was such a great show, dude, from beginning to end. So well written from just like a story standpoint for both of these individual characters, for Falcon and for Bucky. And the center point of that show was Sam becoming Captain America and elevating that character to a whole nother level, elevating him from being just this random side character to now being one of the biggest characters, if not the biggest character in the entire MCU. I mean, Captain America 4 is on the way. That's right. Sam Wilson is getting his own Captain America movie. So, and on top of that, just the way they addressed racial inequality, the way they addressed mental health with Bucky, like I applaud Marvel for not shying away from addressing those things and bringing them to light with Isaiah Bradley, introducing Eli Bradley, who is a part of the Young Avengers. The entire story arc with John Walker, and it really told the story of what it means to be a hero, because it's not just about being a super soldier. Like you can't just be Captain America because you're a super soldier. Nah, it's about it's about carrying the ideals that Captain America represents. And Sam, we showed Sam continuously prove that to us throughout the entire series. And once he became Captain America, it was just such a big payoff. And I cannot be more excited to see where they take it now that he's Captain America.
Yeah.
And same with Bucky. Like I think there's still so much more story to tell with Bucky, and it excites me that they didn't fully address that in this series. They still left it very open-ended with Zemo, with the Dora Milaje, with John Walker, with Bucky, and there's still so much story to tell there. So I'm excited to see what they have in store next.
I like how you said that that they left a lot of room to work on the Winter Soldier story, because that's a very optimistic view of that. So I like the way you said that, because I know some people felt that he was shortchanged, but that is a way of looking at it. So I appreciate that. Do you think that if there were things that you could within the show, kind of looking back now that it's over, do you think you would have done anything differently with the story or with the direction of the show?
No, man. I think it was really well done, and it was really the little things for me that really stood out in the series, like that conversation that Bucky and Sam had when they were back in Louisiana and they were Sam was training with the Shield for the first time, and Bucky opening up to Sam about his vulnerabilities, about his mental health, and Sam kind of guiding him, giving him that tough love, but telling him not what he wants to hear, but what he needs to hear. Like, I just think it was little moments like that were just so powerful and really elevated the series for me to a whole nother level. And then, again, at the beginning of the series, the first time we saw Bucky, he was waking up from a nightmare on the floor because he couldn't sleep in a couch. And that ties back to the reference from Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Right. But then at the end of the series, he's waking up smiling on Sam's couch, looking at Sam's nephews play with the Captain America shield. So it was the little things for me in this series, really. And like, again, that scene where Sam was talking to Carly and addressing her in such an empathetic, kind way, it perfectly resembled Captain America. And yeah, there's not anything I would have done with this series. I thought it was really well done. And yeah.
Veckel, what do you think?
Yeah, I enjoyed the show for the most part. Again, though, my only issue is I felt that there was a little bit of virtual signaling maybe towards the end, because I felt like I don't want to feel like I'm in a situation where I'm sitting next to a white person or a non-black person, and we're trying to enjoy a show that is not about politics or not about anything regarding racial issues or social political issues, but then all of a sudden there's a line in there or a scene that just kind of throws that in your face, and now I'm in a position where I just kind of like feel a little bit uncomfortable, and I'm just speaking personally. I feel like a little bit uncomfortable next to this person who's sitting next to me. You're like, why? Like as if I'm the one who produced the film. I didn't know they were going to say this about white people. I'm sorry. I kind of felt that way a little bit with some of the scenes towards the end of the series, but for the most part, I enjoyed the entire series, and I love me some John Walker. I love John Walker. I had more interest in John Walker, to be honest with you, than I did with Winter Soldier or Falcon. But I love Falcon. I love Anthony Mackie as the character, and Broja, you said also that I felt like Winter Soldier was a little bit shortchanged. I would have liked to have seen more development with that character as well. But overall, I enjoyed the show. I thought it was really, really good movie-like action to the show, and again, the most intriguing part of it to me, I have to be honest, man, was John Walker. I wanted to see more with him, but I kind of don't like the way it ended with him, but that's okay.
Oh, I love the way they ended with him. But let me just say that what you're bringing up with the way that they handled Bucky and Falcon, I felt like for me, WandaVision was such a perfect complement to both characters. Like, it was Wanda's show, but you didn't feel like Vision got shortchanged because you got to see so much more from Paul Bettany. And of course, you have those scenes with you have the scenes with Bucky where he's acting and he's crying and he starts going through his background. And you see him with the Dora Milaje helping. I thought that stuff was good, but I think will resolve the way that Soup said it. They've left open the door for more stuff. I thought that was a really good, optimistic way of viewing it. But let me say that you brought up, Beckel, it was really great because the end of a show can ruin your whole view of the
In
show.
retrospect, yeah.
And it's amazing how when I was watching WandaVision, me and Alec were for me, I'm watching the show 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, just because I loved it so much.
Yeah.
And we were saying, man, if they don't stick the landing, oh man, we don't want them to do this. I mean, the landing of a show can kind of shape the whole view. And so I kind of wrestled with my opinion of Falcon and the Winter Soldier because in one part, we watched the first episode together, and for me the tone is too slow for me. The pacing was slow and the tone wasn't great for me. But then the second episode I loved, and I actually enjoyed a lot from the show. But then you start wrapping it up, and then I go, what did I think of this as a whole? I will now say Falcon suit grew on me. So I thought it was gross at first. I've grown onto it. I've seen it, and so I'm like, okay.
Gotta get rid of the shoulder pads. Oh, I hated the shoulder pad. If they make the shoulders a little bit smaller, it'd be
a little
great.
bit smaller.
Everything else, yeah.
No,
I'm
white, too much now. White. I think that's what I was going to say. The white is a little bit. I don't know. It's comic accurate. It's straight out the comics.
It's straight out the comics. Yeah.
I think for me, it's going to come back to. My friend said it seemed like the director and writer may not have been on board with the same ideas because you have this beautiful line. I was like, wow, Marvel's really doing something good here. Where Falcon's walking to Isaiah's house, and the black kid says, "It's the Black Falcon," and he says, "Why am I Black Falcon? Are you Black Kid?" Right? Basically saying he's just the Falcon, right? I mean, his race doesn't matter to the character. Yeah, right. But then they transition into a scene which I thought was very good. For me, I said, okay, I will accept that scene with Isaiah and him. And then they moved out to you seeing the police pull him over and whatever. But what for me began to become too much was, and I love the way you said it, Michael, because it's that awkward experience of sitting with someone who may be of a different race and feeling like I didn't know they were going to write this. Like I didn't know they were going to do this. Right.
And you know why you're saying that is because the show did not start off that way. There was no hint all throughout the entire series, at least from my perspective, that there was a struggle with him becoming the new Captain America because he was Black. I didn't get that impression until...
Let me point something out about that. I mean, because I saw a comment that was excellent. You're looking at the universe where a Black man, and I never thought about it like this because his race didn't matter to me, assembled the Avengers. Did anyone complain to Nick Fury? So for me, it just felt weird that Marvel was diving into that. But when Isaiah says, this is the line that to me was ridiculous, where it's just like, oh man, when he says, no, first thing was when Falcon walks over to this man's house or Isaiah's house and he has the shield. And I go, they better not make Isaiah the new Captain America. That would be the biggest virtue sin. We don't know this character. He doesn't even know the character himself. You can't do that. And of course he didn't do that. So that was good. But then when Isaiah says to him, and I understand what Falcon says from his perspective, that he would view it that way. But when he says they will never let a Black man be Captain America, and that whatever, that's his opinion. But then he says, and even if they would, no self-respecting Black man would ever be. Now, at the end, you can say Falcon contradicted that because he becomes Captain America. He doesn't agree with that.
Right.
But for me, it was the protagonist was too silent in that moment. I thought he should have said something back at that. So for me, that kind of made me uncomfortable. And then at the end, you hear him say, I'm a Black man and Sergeant Stratton. I went, wow, they are really pushing heavy into the political sphere because people aren't going to view things socially the same, So for me, that kind of was
right.
Was not.
And going back to it again, now, had I had this indicated throughout, maybe at least in the first 3 episodes, it would have got me a little bit more psychologically prepared for that monologue that he has at the end. But it just felt like you said, it felt like there was a contrast between the two writers, two directors and stuff. And it just seemed like one was way more political than the other one. The other one wanted to just tell a story, while the other one felt like he had some sort of an agenda that he wanted to implement.
No, can I just stop you there just really
Yeah,
quickly?
go ahead.
Grace Randolph interviewed the director. I don't know if you saw that interview, Supes, but it was a really good interview. She interviews the director, and she asks a question like, "What do you think they should do for women empowerment or something like that for women directors?" Right? And the first thing the director says is, and I thought it was great, "I think we should drop the title women directors or black directors or Indian. There should just be directors." And to me, that is how I want the show to go in the direction.
Yes.
Drop the black character. Just make him awesome.
Yeah.
Like I love Spider-Man. Do you think I care that I never one time as a kid dressing up like Spider-Man considered the fact that I was black that I couldn't be Spider-Man.
Everybody loved Luke Cage. Like, I bring this up all the time, right?
Yes.
And it had nothing to do with him being black, because I know white people that wanted to see that show. Okay.
I enjoyed that part.
No, I knew white people. When white people heard that they were coming out with a Luke Cage show on Netflix, they were more excited than I was, right? And we already have the reports of how great this show did, is because Luke Cage is the first and I think the only show on Netflix that actually literally broke their server system.
Was Luke Cage? I didn't know that.
It was Luke Cage, yeah. On the release day, on the night of release, you could not, if you were one of the unlucky people, you tried to sign in on Netflix and tried to watch Luke Cage, it wasn't happening. You had to wait till they fixed the server, because the servers literally crashed because there was so many people watching Luke Cage. Okay.
Wow.
Same thing with Black Panther. No white people said, "I don't want to go see no Black Panther." No, everybody wanted to see Black Panther.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And the same thing with Into the Spider-Verse. People love Miles Morales, right? Had nothing to do with his ethnicity. Everybody loves Miles Morales, right? But again, going back to the Falcon and Winter Soldier, nobody has a problem with Falcon. Nobody has a problem with him being Captain America. But the monologue, it just felt like it was kind of lectury, and especially with this current political climate that we have now.
Yeah, heavy
where
political
the cancel
climate.
culture. People are so overly sensitive about racial issues these days. It just feels like it felt like, for me anyway, that that whole part about black men holding the shield and stuff, it just felt like it felt a little bit out of place, because it didn't seem to match up with what happened prior to that. You know what I mean?
And if you look at the reviews from the audience, this show got a lot more feedback in terms of fans being disappointed. I mean, fans overall loved it. Well, if you look at the ratings and you read, I went through page after page just looking at it, and the number one complaint, if people were to complain about anything, the number one thing was the political stuff need to be dialed back. For me, it's just the best way. If you want to say, listen, we want black characters, we want to represent black communities, that's fine. Do black characters, do black culture, keep everything else out. That's it. Like that's what's so beautiful about Luke Cage. Now, I will say I do love that he's a black hero. I mean, I'm not going to say that. I love it, and he's awesome as a black hero, and he's a Boy Scout. He's incredible. He's unstoppable. I mean, I kept, when I was watching, I was like, I would love to see him fight Captain America. I would love to see that happen.
I would love to see that.
But they weren't preachy. They had them work alongside white heroes, and you just give us that universe without. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Just give us that universe without smothering us within this. I mean, again, it depends. It depends on what part of the country you live in. In my state, I don't have those kind of issues. So for me, I understand some people living in states where it's a little bit more racially sensitive, and there are states where you go to, people speak a little bit more racially than that. But like over where I'm at, it's not like that. So for me to watch it, I'm kind of like, wow, I feel like they just condemned an entire country right now.
Well, I want to say this last thing and then I'll yield. In Luke Cage, there were some moments where they talked about racial issues, between blacks and whites and stuff like that. But again, it wasn't the focus of Luke Cage, though. And that's okay, because the setting is in a predominantly black neighborhood. It's in Harlem. Okay. And again, if you're going to have a character in a realistic environment, you're going to have to cover some issues that the audience
Sure.
members in some way, shape, or form can relate to. And I think that's what they tried to do maybe at the end of Falcon.
Sure.
But it just felt, again, it felt out of place because we didn't see that theme consistently throughout their whole series. We only saw it in the last 2 episodes, and that's, yeah.
And to be fair, our political perspective is probably different than a lot of people watching, right?
Oh,
We're
yeah.
conservative people. And so when they're talking about the racial stuff, it was clear to me that they were reflecting our recent riots and protests with that speech at the end. And if you remember, there were 2 sides. There's always 2 sides to a story. You had the one side that said this wasn't that bad or they overreacted. And then you had one side that said, no, this was like I think the one thing that both sides agreed with was what happened should not have happened. But we disagreed with why it happened. We said, was it racially motivated? Was it something behind that? And so you have blacks who don't think that way, and you have blacks who do think that way. And as you point out, you're going to have to present the perspectives. For me, it's present both perspectives. Don't do one. You got to do both. You can't, if you're going to be real and say, well, we want to show the world around us. Okay, give us the blacks that say it doesn't work like that. Give us the blacks that say it does work like that. They don't do that. So when it becomes preachy is when they give us one perspective and they don't rebut it with anything. What do you think, Supes?
I think we said a lot there.
Yeah, man. When it comes to Marvel addressing, I guess, real world issues, I think it's very courageous on their end to address something that they know will probably get them backlash. Like they knew that by them addressing all of this stuff, all of these real world issues head on, that they would probably get backlash for it, and they still did it anyways because it's just that important to some people. I know that it might not be as important to you guys, but to a ton of other people out there, it was very important for them to address this. And unlike Luke Cage, Captain America is a completely different type of hero. And it's not necessarily about the hero itself. It's about what the hero represents and what he means to the world. So like Luke Cage is a badass and I freaking love him and I want to see more of Luke Cage. We all do. But when it came to Sam becoming Captain America, especially after finding out what happened to Isaiah, like that was the last black super. Like look what look what our country and our government did to the last black super soldier. Instead of making him Captain America, they experimented on him, trying to replicate the super soldier serum so they could make more super soldiers, so they can make more Steve Rogers. And instead of making Isaiah Bradley the first Captain America, they took him, made Steve Rogers Captain America instead of Isaiah Bradley, and just used him to experiment and to just continue that entire cycle. So I applaud Marvel for addressing racial inequalities in the show because I just think it was so important when it came to Sam becoming Captain America and just addressing that because, again, becoming Captain America means something completely different now than it did when Steve Rogers became Captain America. So I thought it was, again, I applaud Marvel for doing it because they knew they were going to get backlash in the first place. And there's a ton of people that are automatically going to poop on the show just because they're addressing racial and political stuff because it makes them feel uncomfortable. But
yeah, that is unfortunate. Yeah, some people will.
I just think, again, like for us to, when it comes to growing, like in order to grow, you need to be uncomfortable. And in order for us to grow as better people, we need to have those uncomfortable conversations. And I think Marvel using their content and using their media to push these conversations forward, I think it's very powerful.
Now, do you think that the role of the studio when they have these conversations, do you think that one of the things they should do is as best as possible, you're never going to do it perfectly, represent both sides of a debate?
I mean, yeah, I guess that would be the best way to do it, to represent both sides of the argument. And I guess it's up to us, honestly. It's up to us to figure out both sides and to understand both sides. Marvel can do whatever they want at the end of the day. So they could tell the story in whatever light they want to tell the story, and like they could do that with literally every movie that's like that isn't necessarily addressing political stuff. Like you can tell Black Panther through the eyes of Killmonger, and it becomes a completely different movie. And it's now Killmonger is justified. So like Marvel, not just Marvel, just any studio that wants to address real world issues, they're always going to have to pick a side no matter what, because they do it with every movie. Like literally, like with again, like I just brought up, you can tell Infinity War through the eyes of Thanos, and now Thanos looks like the hero. You can tell Black Panther.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Good.
And that's the beautiful. Is going to have to pick a side, just like the director of WandaVision. Remember when he was saying before the last episode was released, he was saying, "I know for a fact that many people are going to be disappointed with this episode," and it's true. I mean, I didn't have a problem with the way the episode ended, the show ended at all. Yeah. But I can understand why some people might have been upset because they were expecting Doctor Strange to appear. Another person was expecting this to be this person appearing. You know, the director didn't know who Mephisto was. You know, all these kinds of things. So
and when it came to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like again, I just think that Sam's character continued to display so much empathy and understanding because again, the show. Essentially, us as an audience, we are Sam, right? We are Sam, and we're going on this adventure where there's two sides. There's the side of John Walker and Battlestar and the U.S. government and Zemo, and then there's also the Flag Smashers. And everyone in this show no one is necessarily a villain. People just value different things. The Flag Smashers, they value freedom and security. John Walker values protection and doing and serving his country. Sam, Bucky, they value leaving behind a powerful legacy that Steve left them behind to leave. So like none of these characters were necessarily villains. They just all value different things. And that's what I found so interesting about this show. Because there was, again, I never saw, yes, John Walker was arrogant and we all wanted him to get his butt whooped and his teeth smashed in. But at the end of the day, there was also a part of me that kind of felt sorry for John Walker and kind of saw his side of this story. So again, I think when it comes to talking about like the political stuff, like the same way Sam took a step back and just saw everyone's side and was just so empathetic and understanding to everyone and just showed kindness to Carly, to John Walker, and to try to be just so reasonable and understanding. I think that was just so powerful because it's something we could all take inspiration from and apply to ourselves.
Did you like what they did with John Walker when he became a hero at the end? Because I thought, I know some people didn't like it. I thought it was refreshing, like because it would have been weird if he became a villain because he's like you're bringing up a misunderstood guy. Like he has a moral compass, and so when he comes at the end and fights Carly and then tries to save stop the tank from falling on the. I thought that was great. Like I was like, oh, he's still the same guy. Like and the government did him so dirty. Like they did him terrible the way they ostracized him. Like. I was like, wow. I don't think so.
I mean, he made a mistake and like people have to pay for their mistakes and consequences. And is John Walker a bad guy off of like one mistake?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. I don't think we are our actions. What we are is who we choose to be moving forward. And John Walker made the right choice and he chose to make that redemption and tried to be a hero again. And again, he's not fit to be Captain America, not one bit. That's Sam proved himself over the course of the entire series that he could be, that he is the perfect candidate to become the next Cap. Yeah, exactly.
I definitely saw what they were doing with his empathy. I definitely understood that like Captain America in the Age of Ultron. I forget exactly how the line is worded.
Trying to avoid violence and conflict.
Right.
Well, we're kind of going back to Sam and the racial issue. One thing I did admit, I admire though, with that scene where you see that's last scene with Isaiah, where he says no self-respecting black men would wield that shield too, or something like that. I liked how Sam walked away, contradicting what, as you guys pointed out already, contradicting what Isaiah said, and showing that, listen, because one thing I'm really happy about that, it shows that Black people are not monolithic. Okay. Because if they wanted to, they could have been
that's a good point. Wow. Good.
Right. It could have ended with Sam saying, yeah, you're right, man. Yeah, the white man gave me the shield. So so it's time for Black men to hold his shield, or something like that. But he didn't go that route. He disagreed with Isaiah, and I like that part. And also, I like to talk about disagreements too between characters in films. Like Civil War is a perfect example, one of my all-time favorite superhero films. I know some people don't agree with me on that, but I love that film. And I just love the story because you actually had a conflict with all of these characters, and you can understand both sides, why both sides feel the way they do. I'm Team Cap, so personally, but I understand what Iron Man was trying to say as well. So, but I love those kind of conflicts in the story, man. You're like, oh man, which side do I take?
Very well.
Yeah.
No, for sure. They did a very good job there. Yeah,
that's action. Wait, can I ask you guys something? Who does the choreography? Who did the choreography for Civil War?
I believe his name is Dave McCumber, and he did it for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier as well.
He didn't do it for Black Panther, did he?
No, I don't believe so.
I can guarantee it because I can see it. I can see it. That's one of the reasons why I didn't like Black Panther as much as I anticipated I would. Although I did watch the movie 5 times.
This guy's the only guy that doesn't like a movie and will watch it 9 times over.
I know. I don't know why. Like Batman versus Superman, I watched it like maybe 5 or 6 times, and I felt like, I don't know, man. I watched the movie because I was like, oh, I love this part. Oh, I can't stand this part. I love this part. Oh, I can't stand it. I felt like it's a job, but I'm getting paid for it. You know what I mean? And that's the way I felt with watching these films. I want to watch it, but I felt like there's one part of me that feels like it's kind of a chore, while the other side just says, okay, I can take some enjoyment out of certain parts of it. So that's why I watch Batman versus Superman and Black Panther. So, but
yeah, if I don't enjoy a film, it's over. I don't rewatch it. I don't try to, unless it was a very popular film. Then I'll rewatch it and say maybe I didn't understand it here. Like for me, I didn't like the first Guardians. I didn't have a problem with the first Guardians. Just not for me. Just but I love the second Guardians. I didn't love Civil War. Loved Infinity War. It's just like. Some films are just not for you. I love Captain Marvel, and people hated Captain Marvel. So it happens. But I don't I think I rewatched Civil War, but I when I go through the MCU films, I skip that film.
Opening scene is dope. My gosh, Captain America kicking butt. He kicked that car and knocked that dude like 7 feet away. My gosh, oh my gosh, Black Widow. Kicking butt, oh my gosh, jumping off the bike and gosh. And then the scene where Black Panther, dude, and let me tell you something, man. I saw that opening night in the theater, and when Black Panther made his appearance, people were freaking out. Like, oh my God. Oh man. But not nearly as crazy though as when Captain America grabbed Mjolnir in Endgame. Audience,
classic,
absolute nuts. I don't think we're ever going to have an experience like that ever again in theaters, man.
Wait till No Way Home.
Wow.
But you know why I don't think it's
wait till No Way Home.
I think it's going to be exciting, but you know why I don't think it's going to be up to par with that though, because people are too anxious to be the first to get information out there. We already know that the 2 Spider-Men are going to be in the film. We already know that Alfred Molina, he already opened up his big mouth about
when I see Tobey Maguire hit the screen again, I'm
jumping off Euro's sword.
Oh,
it's going to be exciting, but I think people are
throwing my Coke. I'm throwing my large Coke.
Oh God!
Toby walks on that screen. I hear that music. I'm jumping off Euro's sword, throwing my large popcorn, throwing my Coke. and calling the ambulance.
But see, people are going to be anticipating. Nobody anticipated Mjolnir flying into Captain America's hand, and nobody anticipated.
I mean,
those famous words, "on your left," right? Because remember what happened.
But that's the thing, is that like going into Endgame, we all knew these characters were coming back. We knew Black Panther, Spider-Man. They weren't gonna stay dead. We all knew they were gonna come back.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But you
didn't know how.
We don't know how.
Yeah.
And when it comes to No Way Home, I'm interested to see if they're gonna announce that Toby and Andrew are gonna be in this movie, or if they're gonna try to keep it a secret until the film comes out. Because then the entire movie, we're just gonna be like, okay, are they gonna show up? And if they are, like, when is the moment? And I'm telling you right now, like,
and then when it does happen, yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay,
dude, I'm telling you right now, and that's three. This is 3 generations of Spider-Man fans, the present day Spider-Man fans, the OG 2000 Spider-Man fans, 2010 Andrew Garfield Spider-Man fans. This is 3 different generations of fans that are all coming together in this one moment.
And it's so amazing because everyone loves these Spider. Like my father and we were talking last night, and his favorite Spider-Man is Tom Holland. He said, I didn't like Tobey Maguire. I hated Andrew Garfield. This one was perfect. He was a kid. He was funny. I was like, wow. My cousin loves Tom Holland. Like my cousin is like, Tom Holland is hands down the best Spider-Man. Like it's amazing. So you're going to have this insane reaction when all 3 of them hit the screen. Because you're going to have the Tom Holland fans happy to see him with the other Spider-Mans. You're going to have the Andrew Garfield fans loving to see him back. And me, a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man fan, I can't wait to see him back. I'm going to lose it when Alfred Molina hits the screen.
Yeah.
And of course, he totally ran his mouth.
Alfred Molina, he played one of the most iconic villains in superhero films ever on the big screen. And he's a good actor. He's
incredible.
So, it's going to be an exciting experience. I can't wait to see it, man. Hey, Brojo, you might have to come back visit again, man. So see it on the big screen.
Yeah.
That won't be streaming, I hope, right? It won't be streaming.
I hope. If it does, I won't see. I have to see that in theaters. I want to see it in theater experience. But I got to figure out what theater, because New York is. I'll probably see it in the city.
Now it's this year, right? Or next year?
Yeah. Supes, do you have a fan cast of like directors that you want to direct these upcoming Marvel projects, like Fantastic Four?
Who
is directing that?
About that?
John Watts. John Watts is directing Fantastic Four.
Oh, is he directing that?
Yeah.
I think he's going to do a good job.
Fantastic Four.
But who's playing who though?
Optimistic.
So is it going to be John?
We don't know yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've
guys.
talked about that for 2 years, So I think actually there's some truth to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to head out, but I appreciate you guys.
Yeah,
had a fun time. We got to do this again.
Yeah, man. It's nice meeting you, Supes.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Take care, Brojo. Talk to you later.